Now to take a closer look at how the race is shaping up in those crucial swing states in this unprecedented week, truly unprecedented in U.S. politics. Michael Smerconish, we are so happy to have you with us. You are a CNN political commentator and, of course, host of CNN's Smerconish. You do join me from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So we're going to ask you, we're going to get right to business here. Looking at key battleground states, Michael, we know the head-to-head contest is quite close. But if we look at battleground states, do you believe Kamala Harris can make a difference in those states? And if so, which ones?
If she selects Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, I think that she's got a shot of winning Pennsylvania. I thought that John King's report a moment ago was excellent. I can't improve on any of it. I think her choice really is Mark Kelly in Arizona. I don't know if Kelly can give her what's necessary to close the gap in that state. I think that Josh Shapiro probably can in Pennsylvania. It's a more narrow margin. And I think it puts Paula added emphasis on those Rust Belt states among the battleground states. Georgia, which seemed like it was moving beyond the reach of President Biden, could be in play. North Carolina, again, because of the minority population of each of those states. Nevada, because of the Hispanic population, and Arizona, as I referenced. So I'm thinking more emphasis on the Sun Belt states among those that you just put on the screen, and perhaps less emphasis on the Mid-Atlantic states.
So you've already skipped to my last question for you, and I'm going to put you on the spot then. Do you believe she should pick the governor of Pennsylvania, or do you believe she should pick Senator Mark Kelly or someone else? Who do you think she will pick, and who do you believe she should pick?
As a pure political matter, if you're asking me what would most enhance the ticket, Shapiro. I think that Josh Shapiro brings a lot to the table, and I think that my home state of Pennsylvania, it's kind of nice. I feel like I'm living in Iowa or New Hampshire every 4 years because there's such attention that's being heaped on us. But I think Shapiro is a great pick for those reasons. Now, Shapiro would help in Pennsylvania. The resume of Mark Kelly is like central casting. You don't do better than having an astronaut, on your ticket. So I can also see the argument for Kelly, but it's one or the other I would think that she'll select.
So interesting. And apparently we're going to find out quite soon, first week of August. Okay, you do polling of your own. Of course, it's not scientific, but you get impressive engagement. 3 of 4 people believe that the enthusiasm for Harris will continue. But I want your survey, Michael, your survey of one. I mean, you remember her campaign in the 2020 race was weak. For years, she seemed to underperform even as vice president. What's changed? What do you think can keep this up?
So I think people are seeing her as a fresh face. You know that the polling data for a long time has said that most Americans, roughly 2/3, they didn't want either of these choices when it was Biden and when it was Trump. So she benefits from being the new kid on the block, if you will. And the sea change of where we are today in comparison to 1 week ago today. 1 week ago today, Trump had survived the assassination attempt. I thought they had a near flawless convention, the Republicans. He spoke too long, but otherwise I thought the convention was well. He was leading in every battleground state, and he was winning handily in the national surveys, which are important, but they aren't outcome determinative because of the way we select our presidents. And now the enthusiasm has completely shifted in the direction of the Democrats. But there's still so many things that are about to transpire, not the least of which a debate, if there is one. I think there will be. Donald Trump is going to get sentenced before this election runs its course in the New York case for which he's been convicted. Hunter Biden, less important a figure without Joe, but I'm sure much will be made about that trial when it gets underway in September. And so many intangibles, as I like to say to my radio audience, people whose names we don't know today, events that we could never imagine are about to unfold.
And I can't resist. Armando Iannucci, who is the producer of Veep, has an editorial in the New York Times today, and he had so much attention placed on him. People remember that show from HBO. Quoting him, "What worries me is that politics has become so much like entertainment that the first thing we do to make sense of the moment is to test it against a sitcom." Michael, how do we make sense of these moments? It has been a dizzying couple of weeks.
Our last president was a reality television star. I think that that assessment is accurate insofar as it says that there's a cultural component to this. And to the extent that people are looking at the Julie Louis-Dreyfus sitcom and saying that they like that show and Kamala Harris reminds them of that individual, it's not a bad thing for her. I mean, I'm constantly reminding myself that while I'm sleeping, and drinking all of this pertaining to the election, most Americans are not. And frankly, they are just now starting to dial in.
And it is such a good point that we forget so many times as we continue to parse so many incredible developments. Michael Smerconish, come back early and often. We always love to hear from you, and we'll continue to listen to your viewers that you poll so often as well. Thanks so much.